looks like I came just in time, otherwise I might have been either stuck in that or in that. Wow, man. 2 days in a row. Really good thing I have that will getting drafted. I have too much crap. So much crap, I don't have a place to put it. Enter infomercial. I have all this nonsense here as well as nonsense underneath, nonsense next, nonsense in another room that I just pulled out of my closet because I need a space for all this nonsense. It just so happens I have a closet for nonsense. A nonsense closet. I'm not gonna keep up the reuse of the same word. I need to put shelves up to put all of my crap somewhere, and I had to get all my crap out, which is done. Now time for shelves. Oftentimes people will install wireframe shelving because it's cheap garbage that goes in very easily and very quickly. Fortunately, we took out a lot of wireframe shelving throughout the house, and now I have a bunch of cheap garbage storage holders in my garage ready to go up on my wall. Because I'm a hoarder, and I don't like paying for things. Fortunately, these things are pretty easy to cut and install as long as you have the right tools, and I just so happen to have ordered one of the right tools, as well as all of the mounting brackets to put them up. I got a blade for cutting metal for my oscillating tool because, well, I already had one, and I couldn't think of a single other use for bolt cutters, despite them being a much easier thing to use in this specific circumstance. What am I gonna use bolt cutters for after this? Cutting bolts? I don't have bolts to cut. And then all the mounting hardware. Well, I mean, at least some of the mounting hardware. There's a... Turns out I don't have all the proper brackets. We only ordered one set when you need two different types. The ones that go on the side walls that hold up the main weight, and the ones on the back walls that keep it in place and kind of hold it up a little bit more. And I need so many more of these little ones than I need these big ones, because I only need 2 per one and a big math number for the other. I can either order them and wait to continue this project for yet another day, or I can go to Lowe's and pay a few bucks more. Excuse me, do you know where I can find that wireframe shelving hardware?
39.
39, thank you.
Go straight back.
Thanks. $15 for some plastic. $15? I'm in the wrong business. $15 for some plastic clips. You pay me $15 to come all over your crappy store. $15. I'm clamping the whole thing down more than excessively because the metal on metal gives me a lot of vibrations. And other than that, I just have to go straight down. A bolt cutter would be significantly easier than here. All I'd have to do is just a couple snips. But at least with this, I'll use it more than once. And a bolt cutter, I seriously can't think of another use for any time in the near or far future. The mask isn't entirely necessary, but the smell of burning enamel or whatever the coating is on that is not my favorite. And I don't think I need to be frying my brain more than I've already done before. Also, eye and ear protection because I value my life and my senses. I might be a loser for that, but hey, if being able to see and hear properly makes me a loser, well, I was already one to begin with, so what difference does it make? That's 4 done. I think that's all I'll have the space for. I probably should have measured it out, but I'm gonna put one above the current one, and then the rest of them underneath. We'll see if they actually fit, so there can still be large totes on the bottom on the floor. And if not, I have plenty of more to cut up, except those ones. That stack there is too short. So I don't really have that many more to cut up. Oh, I need the brackets that are in here. If I recall, this box is heavier than I should have put up here. Might have been a mistake, and we'll find out right now. Yep, it is not light. I put a lot of crap in here. It's in here somewhere. I have it relatively organized. I don't even know what's in there. So I could use it in the future. Oh, wow. I guess I don't need that. I just bought so many of them. Don't need that. Oh, here we go. You know, it's this exact reason why I've considered multiple times having tools or all of the tools up here, but then I'd have to do all of the household projects up here. It makes more sense to have it in the garage. But man, carrying that load up, not great on the wrist, and I also have to go back down and, I don't know. I have to grab a lot of stuff. I mean, at least a hammer, a drill, a measuring tape, maybe a ruler, a hammer? I definitely need a hammer. It's kind of crazy to think that the tedious nature of recording a video while doing something, like recording the process of doing something, adds so much extra time. Just filming the process, at the very least, doubles the amount of time it takes to actually get said thing done. I'm not complaining, just a fact of life, which is a reason why I kind of don't do as many things as I should be getting done in terms of like stuff around the house or just projects I'd like to do. Mostly because I always feel the strong urge to record everything. But man, recording everything, as just stated, takes a long time. So much precision being used for such a non-project. It's not woodworking. It's not some fine finish work. I'm putting some metal on some drywall, and the camera placement isn't making this easy. I can either put it on the floor, set it on the shelf, or set it on this windowsill. And as you just saw, the shelf isn't always 100% solid. I mean, I'm acting as if I don't have multiple tripods I could just easily slap this onto, but I do have multiple tripods I could just easily slap this onto. I'll get a tripod. Fine. You win. I'll get the tripod. I'm gonna leave the bottom shelf high enough where I can easily slide the bins underneath them in and out and not have to worry about supporting the weight of some big bins on the bottom. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking there might be an issue or two. For one, these rooms are a lot taller than I thought or ever really think about how tall they are. I don't know how much crap I want to fill in between each shelf, or how high I want to stack it rather. But not that high. Honestly, just having a bunch of bins and then a shelf and then a bunch of bins and a shelf seems like the most efficient, or at least the most organized and tidy way to go about this. Maybe one shelf for project trays, but then how high do I go? I noticed that they stuck the mounts not in studs, but just in drywall. And I guess that makes sense. They are drywall anchors, but couldn't I just save some clips if I put them in the studs, and instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 anchor holes in the wall? I mean, that would be a lot easier for me to just drill into the wood and then pop them in. I'm sure the anchor will take the wood just fine, but is that enough weight in the back? I'm gonna assume yes, but that also leads to one other issue. The clips in the back, obviously it doesn't matter where their location is, but I kind of wanted to keep 2 bars on each level at the same level, not have them staggered, but I can't really do that if I keep them in the drywall. So maybe those will stay in the drywall so I don't have to worry about relocating them, and they look kind of centered. Are these centered? Well, those aren't centered at all. Holy crap. Well, that's, I can either do it right and center these, patch the holes, paint them at some point in time, maybe never, probably just end up patching them, and then center all the other ones. Actually, I should do it based on the bins that I have. That would be, I should measure it out on the, that would be smart. I'm gonna do it based on my bins, not just some arbitrary number. Usually I'm more of a measure 3.5 million times and cut once kind of person and still mess up, but this project's more of a just cut as you go kind of deal. And it's a bit freeing, less thought, less mental stress at the beginning, but problems like these I would have accounted for if I actually would have stopped and thought about it. It hangs out over. I can't trust my Shrek DVD VHS collection to not fall over if it's tilting over the edge, but there's a lot less box space if I only do it like that. How much less box space? I don't know. Let's count. Class? 1, 2, 3. And a bit of extra dangly space for all those extra dangly bits. I'll definitely not be able to do it to level 1 box because I have different size boxes. And also, I could be getting different boxes in the future. Who knows how these plays out? These could be taken back by Claire because she wants them for something actually useful. And I might just end up with more or bigger boxes. So we'll go slightly bigger instead of right to form factor. Good idea, me. Awesome idea. Let's do it. I've decided moving them is worth it because I will not be doing this ever again. These are the wrong pliers. Since I will not be wanting to redo this project, it's better just patch holes, even if they look like crap and I don't. Since I will never want to do this project again, it's fine just moving 2 of them. And they'll match up with bins, at least the larger of the 2 bins, and I'll be able to fit more crap overall. Hopefully, at least. A couple of realizations. One, the shelf heights are going to go at the very next one where these bars stop because I can't go any higher. They don't fit in between the grates properly without warping them a little bit, and that's probably not good for the structural integrity of these crappy flimsy shelves already. 2, I put this one into a stud, not intentionally, but it's in a stud, and it's quite difficult to get this nail anchor hole to fit in, so I'm going to have to do that all the way up and down. It'll make it stronger, of course, but just a bit more of a pain in the butt. When this one, all I had to do was just press in. Also, I took my pants off because I got hot. I'm not going to show to prove you, but they're off. This stud is being a bit more of a B face than anticipated. It's going in, but I'm having to hammer this tiny little crowbar that's at an angle with not a flat face into it because I don't have something a bit more sturdy that can actually do the job. So it keeps sliding off and I can't hit it as hard as I could to go in a few things. This was a mistake that will now haunt me for the next 35 minutes. I got the widest, thickest head I had available to stop it so I could hammer at it, stop it, and force my way in. That last one was definitely intentional. It's in there, and I feel bad for whatever sad individual has to come behind me and pull these out. It'll probably be me, but I really hope that it isn't gonna be me. This is why you should measure 45 times before cutting once. I measured the pre-existing shelf that's already in there, but the bracket it uses is a bit longer, so I cut the shelves to the same shelf length that was already in there, but the brackets that hold it up, being about twice the length, covers that gap. Meaning I cut my shelves too short. Actually, I was pretty incorrect about that assumption. They are roughly the same size. These are a tiny bit shorter, and then I cut these not exactly at the 61 inches like I was supposed to, but based on the bars that there were at the end and how, like, where to cut in between roughly. I thought it would be long enough where these would make the difference. And I was wrong. So it's not as even if I could return these and order the longer ones because it still wouldn't work, which means that 4 of these shelves are too short. I have 2 types of shelves. Closet shelves that are a bit narrower than the pantry shelves, which are the other type. Unfortunately, pantry shelves that I'm using, because they are wider, deeper, I get more space out of them, I only have one left that's long enough to cut down to the proper size. The rest of them are like 6 inches too short. All the same size, but all 6 inches too short. So that either leaves me with using the more narrow shelves, which would match the shelf that's already in there, meaning I'd have to cut 4 more of those shelves, or I could do spacers, or I could have not screwed up my cuts. The one thing I measured, literally the shelves are the one thing I measured in this entire process, and that's the one thing I mess up. I have a plan for all these shelves sometime down the line in the not so far future, so instead of cutting and wasting even more shelves, I am going to try to do spacers. I saved a bunch of baseboard from when we ripped out the closet baseboard to do the closet. This is really crappy cheap wood, but I don't care if it's crappy and cheap. As long as it doesn't split when I drill into it, which it shouldn't as long as I pre-drill, I should be able to use this as a spacer. I mean, it looks like crap, but I already went through the process of taking out all the nails and cleaning it up a bit before. Might as well use it for something instead of just throwing it away in the trash like I'm supposed to. It could benefit from a bit more cleaning up visually, but I'm not worried about the visuals. However, this little cock line is an issue. So I will cut, I just said cock line, that's pretty funny. Was sanding it necessary? No, not at all. I already knocked it all off with a cheap knife, but I'm gonna be looking at it every day, so I might as well clean it up so I don't have to see little bits of carpet fragment and a drywall hanging off of it. I cut up 16 little blocks, which is way more than I need, double the amount in fact, but hopefully that should be enough, and they should be thick enough, which they are, probably. I didn't measure it. But that'll give me plenty to burn through in case I mess any up. Now, do I paint them to match the wall, or do I just leave them blank? I'm gonna leave them blank. That's happening. I'm leaving them blank. I wanna get this done tonight. This should not be taking this long. This should not be taking this long at all. Well, I have definitely created some sort of Frankenstein's monster, but it is in. I just need to slide it over a couple of centimeters, but it's in. It's in and relatively solid. Yeah, it'll be fine. Well, 3 of the shelves are in. That took so much longer than I would like to admit, but they're in. I had to figure out quite a bit of problem solving. There's a lot of studs, actually. I ended up going into not 1 stud all the way down, but 2. So 5 of these anchors went into studs. It was bars weren't all super level with the wall, so I had to hammer some of those into place. And I did a bit of a not great combination of screws too long and anchors too short for drywall. And definitely since they're wood screws and a bit more expensive, but better safe than sorry, I guess. All in all, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Three done. There's still a 4th one is not done. This 4th one's not, obviously, the 4th one is not hung. And I have a As I mentioned earlier, the closet shelf isn't as deep as the pantry shelf, and the next one to go up is another pantry shelf, which would be deeper than the closet one. I'm not gonna take out the closet one. I could replace it, but with a deeper one, I don't think it's worth it. I really don't think it's worth it. All of the braces are connected to one another. They all have shelf hooks in them. To do the next one, I'd have to take some of the anchors out. Because I have to take out at least 2 anchors, which means the whole shelf probably will have to come out. I guess the question is it worth doing that, or should I just do the bars slightly next to it and not worry about it? This is...
How close do you want to get to the window? Because I don't think it would be bad if, like, maybe instead of using this one as your second one, you do another narrow one.
Yeah, I agree. That does make the most sense, doing a second narrow one. Then it does look intentional, and not only does it look intentional, it does avoid the window, and I probably shouldn't be drilling in that close to the window anyways. This house isn't the sturdiest after all. And after I do that second narrow layer, I should still have enough space to do yet another layer above that. And with enough space, I might, a big might here, do all the way around, do a full circle, or just a U. I could just do a U and leave the wall behind me for all of the signs that I have, which I've not really talked about, but I have quite a few signs. Quite a few signs in Ohio that I've picked up. A few here that I have not hung up either, and some in California. I have some signs, just a few. I wanted to finish this project today, not only because I wanted to get it done and out of the way and put everything back in my room and get back to work, because I only worked on this half the day instead of the full day like I probably should have. I thought I wouldn't need as much time. Look at me, underestimating how much time I actually needed. I unfortunately am going to stop work there, as I would like to finish and get everything back in there. I also want to go to bed. Remember, I went to bed at 3:30 last night, actually closer to 4. And then got woken up at 5:30, and then every 15 minutes from 5:30 till I had to get up at 9. I'm tired. I'm cutting it here. Man, what an unceremonious, unsatisfying end. If this was a normal video, I would just make it one big long thing. But it's not.